Please subscribe, hit the like button, and let us know in the comments where you are watching from. My name is Olivia Bennett, and my husband, Marcus, laughed while his friends mocked the clearance rack dress I wore to his company party. The mockery started the moment we arrived at Marcus's company holiday party. I'd worn a simple black dress I'd bought on clearance for $30. It was professional, appropriate, and clean. But compared to the designer gowns the other executives' wives wore, it looked exactly like what it was: cheap. Marcus's friend Craig noticed first. "Olivia, is that from Target?" His wife Stephanie laughed, touching her own Versace dress. "Oh honey, Target's fine for casual, but this is a formal event. You really should have made more effort." Marcus stiffened beside me, his jaw tightening, but not from anger at them, from embarrassment about me. "Budget's been tight," I said quietly, trying to deflect. "Tight?" Craig laughed. "Marcus just made partner. He's pulling in what, $400,000 a year now?" "Something like that," Marcus said, his voice clipped. He turned to me with an expression I'd learned to recognize, barely concealed frustration mixed with contempt. "Could you go get me a drink, Olivia?" It was dismissal, removal, getting me away from his colleagues before I embarrassed him further. I walked to the bar, hearing their laughter behind me. Heard Craig's voice. "Seriously, Marcus, you make almost $500,000, and your wife dresses like she shops at Goodwill. What's she doing with all your money?" Marcus's response was what broke something inside me. Trust me, I ask myself that every day. More laughter, like my financial struggles were a joke, like I was the problem. What they didn't know, what Marcus didn't know, I knew was that I was struggling because I was bad with money. I was struggling because Marcus had been systematically hiding assets from me for 2 years. I'd been wearing clearance rack dresses while documenting every hidden bank account, every secret investment, every asset he'd concealed. I'd looked poor while gathering evidence that would destroy him. Let them laugh. The joke was about to be on them. The discovery began accidentally 8 months ago when I needed to locate our insurance documents. Marcus kept all our financial papers in his home office. A room he'd made clear was his private space. However, I needed the policy information for a medical claim, so I went into his desk, found the insurance documents, also found a bank statement for an account I didn't recognize, an account with Marcus's name and over $300,000 in it. We had a joint checking account with maybe $8,000 in it. Marcus always said money was tight, that his income went to taxes and retirement and expenses. He gave me a monthly allowance of $1,500 for household expenses, groceries, and any personal needs, told me that's all we could afford. Meanwhile, he had a secret account with $300,000. I photographed the statement and put everything back exactly as I'd found it. Then, I started investigating. I accessed our tax returns, which Marcus always prepared himself, and had me sign without reviewing. I found investment accounts in his name, only stocks, bonds, and retirement accounts totaling over $1.2 million. Money he'd told me didn't exist, that we couldn't afford to save, that we needed to be conservative with. I discovered he'd bought property, a condo in Miami, worth $500,000 that I'd never heard about, listed as an investment property on documents. But when I researched the address and cross-referenced utility bills I found in his files, someone was living there full-time. The utilities were high, too high for one person. Like a family lived there. I hired a private investigator named Diana, told her about the Miami condo, asked her to find out who lived there. Diana came back 2 weeks later with information that made me physically ill. Marcus had a second family, a woman named Sophia and her twin 7-year-old daughters. They lived in the Miami condo Marcus owned. He visited them twice a month on business trips. He'd been living a double life for 8 years. Had children I didn't know about. A whole separate family he supported with money he told me we didn't have. Diana showed me photos. Marcus walks his daughters to school, Moquak kissing Sophia goodbye at the Conchesses, playing at a park with 2 little girls who looked exactly like him. "Does Sophia know about you?" I'd asked Diana. "I don't think so." I interviewed neighbors claiming to be researching the area. Everyone knows Marcus as Marco Rodriguez, says he's a business consultant who travels frequently. No one mentioned a wife back home, so Sophia didn't know Marcus was married. The daughters didn't know they had a father with another life, and I hadn't known I was sharing my husband with a second family for nearly our entire marriage. We'd been married 9 years. He'd started the second family after our first anniversary. I spent the next 6 months gathering evidence while pretending everything was normal. I documented every hidden asset, used my access to Marcus's home office when he traveled to photograph bank statements, investment records, and property documents. Diana helped me track his spending. I'd found credit cards I didn't know about, tracked charges to restaurants, stores, and children's activities in Miami. Marcus was spending approximately $8,000 per month on his second family, while giving me $1,500 and claiming we had to budget carefully. I hired a forensic accountant who specialized in divorce cases, showed her everything. She analyzed our finances and estimated Marcus had hidden approximately $2.5 million in assets from me over our 9-year marriage. This is financial fraud, she said. In a divorce, he's supposed to disclose all assets, but beyond that, he's been depriving you of your legal right to marital property. Every dollar he's hidden is supposed to be shared. He's essentially stolen over $1 million from you. I contacted a divorce attorney, Catherine Morgan, known for being absolutely ruthless in high-asset divorce cases. She reviewed my evidence with increasing satisfaction. Your husband has committed multiple forms of fraud, Catherine said. Hidden assets, secret accounts, undisclosed income, property held in his name that should be marital property. Plus, he's been supporting another family with marital funds. You have grounds for divorce with cause, which means you can argue for a larger share of assets as compensation for his misconduct. How much can I get? In a standard divorce, you'd be entitled to half of everything, about $1.25 million, plus half his future earnings. But given his fraud and the second family, we can argue for 70 to 80%, possibly more if the judge is angry enough about his deception. I want everything, I said. I want him to lose it all. Catherine smiled. Then we'll need to be strategic. We don't just file for divorce, we file with full documentation of his fraud. We freeze his accounts immediately so he can't hide more money, and we make sure Sophia in Miami learns the truth at exactly the right moment for maximum impact. Why does Sophia matter? Because if Sophia doesn't know Marcus is married, she'll be furious when she finds out. She might provide additional evidence of his deception, and emotionally, having both families collapse simultaneously will destroy Marcus in ways money alone can't. I liked how Catherine thought. We spent weeks preparing. Catherine worked with the forensic accountant to trace every dollar Marcus had hidden. We documented the second family, got statements from neighbors in Miami, and obtained school records for the twins, showing Marco Rodriguez as the father. We also did something else. We investigated Marcus's company, where he'd just made partner. Found that partners were required to disclose major life events and financial obligations due to ethics rules. Marcus had never disclosed his second family or his financial arrangements. If discovered, he could lose his partnership. Catherine filed for divorce on a Friday afternoon with the most comprehensive evidence package the court had likely ever seen. Included documentation of hidden assets, the second family, financial fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty to his spouse. She also filed emergency motions to freeze all of Marcus's accounts, prevent him from transferring assets, and secure temporary exclusive use of our marital home and his income. The process server delivered the papers to Marcus at his office at 4:30 p.m., gave him 30 minutes to review them before Catherine called him. Marcus called me at 5 p.m., his voice shaking with rage. "What the hell did you do?" "I filed for divorce," I said calmly. "Your lawyer should have received the full documentation by now." "Documentation of what? This is insane. These claims about hidden money, secret families. Where did you get this?" "From your home office. From the bank statements and property documents you thought I'd never find. From the private investigator I hired 6 months ago, who's been photographing you with Sophia and your daughters in Miami." Silence. Complete, total silence. "The twins are beautiful," I continued. "They look just like you. 7 years old, right? Born about 2 years after we got married. Does Sophia know you have a wife? Do your daughters know they have a stepmother?" "Olivia, listen to me." "No, you listen. For 8 years you've been living a double life. You've hidden millions of dollars from me while giving me $1,500 a month and making me feel guilty for buying a $30 dress. You've supported an entire second family while telling me we couldn't afford to have children. You've lied about everything. We can work this out." "We can't. My lawyer has already frozen your accounts. You can't access any of your hidden money. The court has granted me temporary exclusive use of our house. which means you need to be out by tomorrow. And your company's ethics board has been notified about your undisclosed second family. Partners are required to report major obligations, and you've been hiding an entire family. I believe that's a fireable offense. I heard Marcus's breathing become ragged. You're destroying my life. No, I'm exposing the life you built on lies. There's a difference. What do you want? Money. Fine, I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't contact Sophia. Don't tell my company it's too late. My lawyer's investigator is meeting with Sophia tomorrow to inform her that Marco Rodriguez is actually Marcus Bennett, a married man with a wife in New York, and your company's ethics board already has full documentation. It's out of my hands. Olivia, please. I hung up. The next day, Sophia learned the truth. According to Diana, who was present for the conversation, Sophia's reaction was volcanic. She'd thought Marcus was divorced, a single father building a relationship with her, finding out he'd been married the entire time, that she and her daughters were the secret family, that he'd lied about everything. She was devastated and furious. Sophia contacted her own attorney and filed a fraud case against Marcus, claiming he'd deceived her into a relationship through pretenses. She also filed for child support for the twins. Marcus had been voluntarily supporting them, but now she wanted legal documentation and enforcement. Marcus's company held an emergency partnership review, discovered he'd violated ethics rules by maintaining undisclosed financial obligations and relationships. They terminated his partnership, effective immediately, stripped him of his title, his equity stake, his future earnings. Within 48 hours of my lawyer calling him, Marcus had lost his partnership, his hidden accounts were frozen, his second family had fallen apart, and he was facing two separate legal battles, my divorce and Sophia's fraud case. He showed up at our house, my house now, legally begging to talk. I opened the door but didn't let him in. I need help, he said, tears streaming down his face. Everything's falling apart. Sophia won't talk to me. My daughters don't understand what's happening. I lost my job. My accounts are frozen. I have nothing. You have exactly what you gave me, I said, nothing. While you hid millions and supported a second family, you gave me $1,500 a month and laughed when your friends mocked my cheap dress. Now you know how it feels. I never meant to hurt you. You meant to deceive me. You meant to hide money and a family and a whole life. The hurt was inevitable. You just hoped I'd never discover it, but I did. And now you face the consequences. Marcus tried to apologize, to explain, to negotiate. I closed the door in his face. The divorce took 14 months to finalize, and the judgment was devastating for Marcus. The judge was furious about the hidden assets and the second family, ruled that Marcus had committed fraud and financial abuse, awarded me 85% of all marital assets, approximately $2.1 million in cash, investments, and property. I got the house, the cars, and most of his retirement accounts. Sophia's case resulted in a judgment requiring Marcus to pay $4,000 monthly in child support for the twins. Plus, he owed back support for the years before legal documentation. Marcus went from making $650,000 annually as a partner to working as a consultant, making maybe $120,000. After the child support to Sophia, alimony to me, and taxes, he had almost nothing left. He lost the Miami condo sold to pay me my share of assets. Sophia moved back to her family in Colorado with the twins. Marcus's daughters, who'd adored Marco, were devastated to learn their father had lied about everything. They refused contact with him. Marcus's professional reputation was destroyed. Word spread quickly about the ethics violations, the second family, and the financial fraud. No major firm would hire him. He worked contract jobs, barely making enough to meet his obligations. But I didn't stop there. I took my revenge deeper. I contacted every social connection Marcus had, friends, colleagues, family, sent them copies of court documents detailing his fraud, his second family, his deception. I wanted everyone who'd ever respected him to know the truth. Marcus's father, a religious man who'd always been proud of his son, disowned Marcus publicly. His siblings stopped speaking to him. His mother cried when I showed her photos of the grandchildren she hadn't known existed and would now never know because Sophia had moved away. I destroyed Marcus's social life as thoroughly as he'd destroyed my financial security. I also started a blog documenting financial fraud in marriage using my story as the central example. It went viral. I did interviews with major media outlets about financial abuse, hidden assets, and how to protect yourself. Marcus's name was mentioned in every article. When people Googled Marcus Bennett, they found pages about his fraud and deception. His professional network evaporated. His reputation was permanently damaged. 3 years after the divorce, Marcus contacted me through his lawyer. He was drowning in debt, couldn't meet his obligations, and asked if I'd consider reducing the alimony so he could survive. I sent back a message through my lawyer. When your friends mocked my $30 dress at your company party, you laughed. You made me feel worthless while hiding millions. Now you're asking me to help you. The answer is no. Live with the consequences of your choices. Marcus tried to file for bankruptcy to discharge some of his debts. The judge denied it, ruling his obligations to me and Sophia weren't dischargeable because they stemmed from fraud. 5 years after our divorce, I heard Marcus had remarried a woman he'd met at a support group for men dealing with difficult divorces. She had money, and Marcus was apparently rebuilding his life. I hired Diana again to investigate. Discovered Marcus hadn't disclosed his previous marriages or children to his new wife. He was repeating the same pattern, hiding his past, starting fresh with lies. I contacted the new wife anonymously, sent her court documents, copies of his fraud case, and documentation of his 2 previous families, explained exactly what he'd done to Sophia and me. She divorced Marcus within 3 months. His 3rd marriage lasted less than a year before his lies destroyed it. 7 years after my lawyer first called Marcus, he was 52 years old, working odd consulting jobs, living in a small apartment, completely alone. His daughters in Miami were teenagers who wanted nothing to do with him. His family had disowned him. His professional network was gone. His reputation was permanently destroyed. Meanwhile, I'd used my divorce settlement to invest wisely, built a portfolio worth over $4 million, started a successful consulting business helping women protect themselves financially in marriages, remarried a kind, honest man who was horrified by what Marcus had done. I bought a house 3 times the size of the one Marcus and I had shared. Wore designer clothes now not because I needed them, but because I could. Lived the life Marcus had pretended we couldn't afford while he was supporting his secret family. And I made sure Marcus knew about all of it. I sent Christmas cards to his last known address, showing my beautiful home, my success, my happiness, annual reminders of exactly what he'd lost. People who knew the story sometimes suggested I was being cruel, that I should let Marcus rebuild his life, that I'd gotten my revenge through the divorce settlement. They were wrong. The divorce settlement was compensation for what he'd stolen. The revenge was ensuring he could never rebuild, never escape his reputation, never find peace or success or redemption. Marcus laughed when his friends mocked my cheap dress. He stood there at that party, making $650,000 a year while hiding millions from me, and laughed about my $30 clearance rack dress. Now he lives in poverty, alone, with a reputation so destroyed that his name is literally used in articles as an example of marital financial fraud. He didn't laugh when my lawyer called him in, and he's never laughed since. I sleep in a mansion wearing designer pajamas, surrounded by wealth I built from the ashes of his fraud. He sleeps in a studio apartment, probably still wearing the same suit he owned for 5 years, because he couldn't afford new ones. The irony is beautiful, poetic even. Marcus wanted me to look poor while he hid millions. Now I'm wealthy, and he's actually poor. He mocked my cheap dress. I destroyed his entire life, and I regret nothing.